Shalom Aleichem and welcome to another video from me. Today we will talk about the spring feasts, which are right now here. The Passover, the Unleavened Bread, and the first fruits, because they have interesting meanings, what many are not aware of. And first of all, we go back to a psalm. Psalms 136, because that is matching to our topic today. Psalms 136. Give thanks to ADONAI, for he is good, for his steadfast love endures forever. Give thanks to the Elohim of gods, for his steadfast love endures forever. Give thanks to the Lord of lords, for his steadfast love endures forever. To him who alone does great wonders, for his steadfast love endures forever. To him who by understanding made the heavens, for his steadfast love endures forever. To him who spread out the earth above the waters, for his steadfast love endures forever. To him who made the great lights, for his steadfast love endures forever. The sun to rule over the day, for his steadfast love endures forever. The moon and stars to rule over the night, for his steadfast love endures forever. To him who struck down the firstborn of Egypt, for his steadfast love endures forever. And brought Israel out from among them, for his steadfast love endures forever. With a strong hand and an outstretched arm, for his steadfast love endures forever. To him who divided the Red Sea in two, for his steadfast love endures forever, and made Israel pass through the midst of it, for his steadfast love endures forever. But overthrow Pharaoh and his hosts in the Red Sea, for his steadfast love endures forever. To him who led his people through the wilderness, for his steadfast love endures forever. To him who struck down great kings, for his steadfast love endures forever, and killed mighty kings, for his steadfast love endures forever. Sihon, king of the Amorites, for his steadfast love endures forever. And Og, king of Bashan, for his steadfast love endures forever, and gave their land as a heritage, for his steadfast love endures forever, a heritage to Israel his servant, for his steadfast love endures forever. It is he who remembered us in our low estate, for his steadfast love endures forever, and rescued us from our foes, for his steadfast love endures forever. He who gives food to all flesh, for his steadfast love endures forever. Give thanks to Elohim of heavens, for his steadfast love endures forever. Amen. Hallelujah. Shema Israel Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Vaed. Yes. So, Passover. What is Passover? What does the word Passover mean? Passover means to cross over from something, crossing over from something, but from what? And you remember, Israel was in Egypt as slaves for 430 years, slaves to Egypt. And today we are talking about what is the meaning of Passover. Passover is crossing from bondage into freedom. And the entire story of the Passover, of coming into freedom, is mentioned in Exodus. Exodus means to leave, to exit from the bondage. And And even nowadays, we are, most of us and the entire world, we are all in a spiritual way still in Egypt, enslaved in all kinds of doctrines, religious stuff, what is not in the scripture. The scripture is saying clearly what we should do and what not, and if you don't keep those things, you're still captured in Egypt, captured in sin, in slavery. But by that we go later. We go to Exodus 1. We read the story of what is going on. These are the names of the sons of Israel who came to Egypt with Jacob, each with his household: Reuben, Simeon, Levi, and Judah; Issachar, Zebulun, and Benjamin; Dan and Naphtali; Gad and Asher. All the descendants of Jacob were 70 persons. Joseph was already in Egypt. Then Joseph died, and all his brothers and all that generation. But the people of Israel were fruitful and increased greatly. They multiplied and grew exceedingly strong, so that the land was filled with them. Because you remember what he said to Abraham: you will be slave for 400 years, and at the time of 400 years, you will exit and come back to Canaan to get your own country. Now there arose a new king over Egypt, who did not know Joseph. And he said to his people: Behold, the people of Israel are too many and too mighty for us. Come, let us deal shrewdly with them, lest they multiply, and if war breaks out, they join our enemies and fight against us and escape from the land. And in many ways nowadays, Israel has the same issue, because they want our land, but we don't give our land. Therefore, they set taskmasters over them to afflict them with heavy burdens. They built for Pharaoh's store cities, Pithom and Ramses. And if you find out, the pyramids were built by our forefathers. But the more they were oppressed, the more they multiplied, and the more they spread abroad. And the Egyptians were in dread of the people of Israel. So they ruthlessly made the people of Israel work as slaves, and made their lives bitter with hard service in mortar and brick, in all kinds of work in the field. In all the work they ruthlessly made them work as slaves. And first of all, that was a crime. In the laws of the Egyptians, in the hieroglyphs, it is said normally that this kind of treatment is a no-go for to enslave those which are living among you. Then the king of Egypt said to the Hebrew midwives, one of whom was named Shifra and the other Pua: when you serve as midwife to the Hebrew women, and see of the birth stool, if it is a son, you shall kill him, but if it is a daughter, she shall live. But the midwives feared Elohim, and did not do as the king of Egypt commanded them, but let the male children live. Nowadays the governments are doing the same with birth control and such thing, all kind of agenda to prevent that we multiply, because they want to control us. So the king of Egypt called the midwives and said to them, why have you done this, and let the male children live? The midwives said to Pharaoh, because the Hebrew women are not like Egyptian women, for they are vigorous and give birth before the midwives comes to them. So Elohim did well with the midwives, and the people multiplied and grew very strong. And because the midwives feared Elohim, he gave them families. Then Pharaoh commanded all his people, every son that is born to the Hebrews, you shall cast into the Nile, but you shall let every daughter live. So, and for you to understand, this happened on a birthday. That's why birthdays are a no-go. Chapter 2. Now a man from the house of Levi went and took his wife, a Levite woman. The woman conceived and bore a son, and when she saw that he was a fine child, she hid him 3 months. When she could hid him no longer, she took him a basket, made bulrushes, and daubed it with bitumen and pitch. She put the child in and placed it among the reeds of the river bank. That is the ark. In smaller way, it is an ark, like Noah. And you should understand something. Chosen people go into hardship, but get an ark to keep us safe in Him. We don't exit the problem, but He makes a way to go through them. And his sister was Miriam, stood at a distance to know what would be done to him. Now the daughter of Pharaoh came down to bathe at the river, while her young women walked beside the river. She saw the basket among the reeds and sent her servant woman, and she took it. When she opened, she saw the child, and behold, the child was crying. She took pity on him and said, "This is one of the Hebrews' children." That is where ADONAI came in to help. Because the Pharaoh's daughter, the princess, had the chance to take care of Moses. Then his sister said to the Pharaoh's daughter, "Shall I go and call you a nurse from the Hebrew women to nurse the child for you?" And the Pharaoh's daughter said to her, "Go." So the girl went and called the children's mother, and Pharaoh's daughter said to her, "Take this child away and nurse him for me, and I give you your wages." So the woman took the child and nursed him. When the child grew older, she brought him to Pharaoh's daughter, and he became her son. She named him Moses, because she said, "I drew him out of the water." And that is the point where ADONAI stepped in to change the hardship of our forefathers Israel. Then we continue. One day when Moses had grown up, he went out to his people and looked on their burdens, and he saw an Egyptian beating a Hebrew one of his people. He looked this way and that, and seeing no one, he struck down the Egyptian and hid him in the sand. When he went out to the next day, behold, 2 Hebrews were striking together. And he said to the man in the wrong, "Why do you strike your companion?" He said, "Who made you a prince and judge over us? Do you mean to kill me as you killed the Egyptian?" Then Moses was afraid and thought, "Surely that thing is known." When Pharaoh heard of it, he sought to kill Moses, but Moses fled from Pharaoh and stayed in the land of Midian, and he sat down by a well. Now the priest of Midian had 7 daughters, and they came and drew water and filled the troughs to water their father's flock. The shepherds came and drove them away, but Moses stood up and saved them and watered their flock. When they came home to their father Reuel, he said, "How is it that you came home so soon today?" They said, "An Egyptian delivered us out of the hand of the shepherds, and even drew water for us and watered the flock." He said to his daughter, "Then where is he? Why have you left the man? Call him that he may eat bread." And Moses was content to dwell with the man, and he gave Moses his daughter Zipporah. She gave birth to a son, and he called his name Gershom, for he said, "I have been a sojourner in a foreign land." So you see, Moses' character is in many ways harsh, but he is a deliverer. He's like he is righteous. He as you remember how Adonai is describing Moses' character. He said he's poor. He is worth to see me face to face. And by the way, here Adonai, who is now coming to him to give him his covenant name, is Adonai Yeshua. In the burning bush, that is Adonai Yeshua. It is no one else. And if you deny that fact, I come to that back later. During those many days, the king of Egypt died, and the people of Israel groaned because of the slavery and cried out for help. Their cry for rescue from slavery came up to Elohim. And Elohim heard their groaning, and Elohim remembered his covenant with Abraham, with Isaac, and with Jacob. Elohim saw the people of Israel, and Elohim knew. That is where I love that change of point. There he said, okay, I will want to show compassion now. I want to save my people. And you have to understand something. In your personal life, you can have such kind of hard life too. But remember one thing. Adonai sees it. He sees what you're struggling with, and he helps you. He's with you in that thing. And the best change is now, because now he reveals his covenant name as deliverer. Let's go in. Now Moses was keeping the flock of his father-in-law Jethro, the priest of Midian, and he led his flock to the west side of the wilderness and came to Horeb, the mountain of Elohim. And you have to understand something. Abraham was a shepherd. Isaac was a shepherd. Jacob was a shepherd. Moses is a shepherd. And what is a shepherd? Is caring for flocks. And he said to Peter, take care of my flock. In other words, if you are preaching the word of Adonai and so on, you are caring for the flock. That means you are set and placed as a shepherd over his people, over his pasture. And he said, woe unto the shepherds who mislead and destroy my flock, in Jeremiah 23 verse 1. So, if you are meant to preach, to reveal his word, you have to make sure that you don't mislead, because he takes it serious when you mislead his flock. Chapter 2, verse 2. And the angel of Adonai appeared to him in a flame of fire out of the midst of a bush. He looked, and behold, the bush was burning, yet it was not consumed. And Moses said, I will turn aside to see this great sight, why the bush is not burned. When Adonai saw that he turned aside to see, Elohim called to him out of the bush, Moses, Moses, and he said, Here I am. Then he said, Do not come near, take your sandals off your feet, for the place on which you are standing is holy ground. That means when you are calling on Adonai and come before his presence, take off your shoes. Take off your worldliness and whatever. Because it is a holy ground on what you are standing then. Because you want to talk to him, and he draws near to you to listen to you. Then he said, Do not come near. Take your sandals off your feet, for the place on which you are standing is holy ground. And he said, I am the Elohim of your father, the Elohim of Abraham, the Elohim of Isaac, the Elohim of Jacob. And Moses hid his face, for he was afraid to look at Elohim. What glorious thing. He said, I am your father. I want to help my people. Come here. Let us have a relationship. When he says, I am the God, I am the Elohim of your father, the Elohim of Abraham, the Elohim of Isaac, the Elohim of Jacob. That is where he says, I am your father, I want a relationship with you. Sit down and listen to me now. Then Adonai said, I surely have seen the affliction of my people who are in Egypt, and I have heard their cry because of their taskmasters. I know their sufferings. He knows your sufferings. He knows what you're going through. And I have come down to deliver them out of the hand of the Egyptians and to bring them up out of the land to go to a good and broad land, a land flowing with milk and honey. There he says, I know their sufferings. I have come down to deliver them. He says, I know what you're going through, and on a point, I come down and help you to go through it. You're not in this alone. A land flowing with milk and honey to the place of the Canaanites, the Hittites, the Amorites, the Perizzites, the Hivites, and the Jebusites. And now, behold, the cries of the people of Israel has come to me, and I have also seen the oppression with which the Egyptians oppressed them. Come, I will send you to Pharaoh that you may bring my people, the children of Israel, out of Egypt. This is also one thing. When sometimes he sends us to help other people, to help in their affliction, to encourage them, to say, Adonai is with you. Don't be afraid. He is with you. To encourage them. That is also where he says, I am with you. I want to help you. But Adonai is never doing it alone. He's doing it mostly through other people, through yourself too. Because what you value much, is what you have worked for. But Moses said to Elohim, who am I that I should go to Pharaoh and bring the children of Israel out of Egypt? He said, but I will be with you, and this shall be the sign for you that I have sent you. When you have brought the people out of Egypt, you shall serve Elohim on this mountain. He said, I will be with you. I am with you. Emmanuel. Emmanuel means God with us, Elohim with us. He said, I am with you, Emmanuel. And this shall be the sign. He gives a sign. Even when you are doubting, he says, okay, I take your doubts and make it to a sign. Then Moses said to Elohim, if I come to the mountain of Israel, if I come to the people of Israel and say to them, Elohim of your fathers has sent me to you, and they ask me, what is his name? What should I say to them? Elohim said to Moses, Ahaya, Asher, Ahaya, I am who I am. And he said, say this to the people of Israel, Ahaya, or I am, has sent me to you. Elohim also said to Moses, say to the people of Israel, Yahuwah, or the Lord, or Adonai, the Elohim of your fathers, the Elohim of Abraham, the Elohim of Isaac, and the Elohim of Jacob, has sent me to you. This is my name forever, and this I am to be remembered throughout all generations. This is the covenant name. It is the name of our Savior. Ahaya, Asher, Ahaya is I am who I am. Yahuwah means behold the hand, behold the nail. That is his covenant name. And this is the name of Adonai Yeshua. Adonai Yeshua is standing here and says this to Moses. This is my name, by which I am to remembered. And later I will give you the addition by saying, I am your deliverer, by saying, Yahusha, I am your savior. And here it says, what is his name? What is his name? Many of us are trying to figure out what is his name. Here it says, I am who I am. Ahaya, Asher, Ahaya. And Adonai, Yahuwah. Yahuwah is his name. There are two names, Ahaya and Yahuwah. And if you say Adonai Yeshua cannot be Elohim, the great I am, then go to John 8 verse 58. There he says, before Abraham was, I am. This is pointing to here. Go and gather the elders of Israel together and say to them, Yahuwah, or Adonai, the Elohim of our fathers, the Elohim of Abraham, the Elohim of Isaac and Jacob, has appeared to me, saying, I have observed you and what is being done to you in Egypt, and I promise that I will bring you up out of the affliction of Egypt to the land of the Canaanites, the Hittites, the Amorites, the Perizzites, the Hivites, and the Jebusites, a land of flowing with honey and milk and honey. And they will listen to your voice, and you, the elders of Israel, shall go to the king of Egypt and say to them, Adonai, the Elohim of the Hebrews, has met with us, and now please let us go 3 days' journey into the wilderness, that we may sacrifice to Adonai our Elohim. But I know that the king of Egypt will not let you go, unless compelled with a mighty hand. So I will stretch out my hand and strike Egypt with the wonders that I will do in it. After that he will let you go. And I will give this people favor in the sight of the Egyptians, and when you go out, you will not go out empty. His promises are greater than your afflictions, than your sorrows. But each woman shall ask her neighbor, and any woman who lives in her house, for silver and gold jewelry, and for clothing. You shall put them on your sons and your daughters, so you shall plunder the Egyptians. Chapter 4. Then Moses answered, But behold, they will not believe me or listen to my voice, for they will say, Adonai did not appear to you. He comes with doubts. Adonai allows to doubt and to ask questions, but he doesn't allow that you cling and stay on your doubts. Beware. Adonai said to him, What is in your hand? He said, A staff. And he said, Throw it onto the ground. So he threw it on the ground, and it became a serpent, and Moses ran from it. And that word serpent was in origin a dragon. The staff became a dragon. But Adonai said to Moses, Put out your hand and catch it by the tail. So he put out his hands and caught it, and it became a staff in his hand, that they might believe that Adonai, the Elohim of their fathers, the Elohim of Abraham, the Elohim of Isaac, and the Elohim of Jacob, has appeared to you. Again, Adonai said to him, Put your hand inside your cloak. And he put his hand inside the cloak, and when he took it out, behold, his hand was leprous like snow. By this you know that Moses was a black man, because as he put his hand into his cloth and took out, it was white as snow, and before it was black. Then Elohim said, Put your hand back inside your cloak. So he put his hand back inside his cloak, and when he took it out, behold, it was restored like the rest of his flesh. If they will not believe you, Elohim said, or listen to the first sign, they might believe the latter sign. If they will not believe even these two signs or listen to your voice, you shall take some water from the Nile and pour it on the dry ground. And the water that you shall take from the Nile will become blood in the dry ground. But Moses said to Adonai, O my Adonai, I am not eloquent either in the past or since you have spoken to your servant, but I am slow of speech and of tongue. And Adonai said to him, Who has made man's mouth? Who has makes him mute or deaf or seeing or blind? Is it not I, Adonai? Now therefore go, and I will be with your mouth and teach you what you will speak. But he said, Oh Adonai, please send someone else. Then the anger of Adonai was kindled against Moses and said, Is not Aaron your brother, the Levite? I know that he can speak. Behold, he is coming out to meet you, and when he sees you, he will be glad in his heart. You shall speak to him and put the words in his mouth, and I will be with your mouth and with his mouth, and will teach you both what to do. He shall speak for you to the people, and he shall be your mouth, and you shall be as Elohim to him, and take in your hand the staff with which you shall do the signs. Stop. There he says, and you shall be as a god to Pharaoh. Do you really know who you really are? You are, when you are walking with Adonai in truth and have accepted his blood, you are a god in his eyes. You have become an Elohim and mighty messenger. Because before we continue by this, we go to chapter 7. We jump to chapter 7, verse 1. See, I've made you like a god to Pharaoh, and your brother Aaron shall be your prophet. You see, Adonai is telling you, if you come with me, I will make you to the world like a god, like a deity, like someone who is working powerful, who you will be an Elohim to those people. Because my name is inside of you. I am living in you, and through my power, you will have access to perform signs. But it is me, not you. So there we see a real deity is dependent on the one who sends, who is above all deities. Adonai is above all deities. And when we go to Psalms 82 verse 6, I have said, you are gods, sons of the Most High, all of you, nevertheless, lest like men, you shall die and fall like any prince. He said, I have said, you are gods, sons of the Most High, all of you. You are gods. And that's why also in John 10, Adonai Yeshua repeats that. John 10, verse 34. Adonai Yeshua answered them, Is it not written in the Torah, I said you are gods, if he called them gods to whom the word of Elohim came, and scripture cannot be broken. Yes, we are gods. If we keep the commandments, if we do what he says, we are gods to this world, because we are his messengers. We are foreigners, like aliens to this world. We are aliens to this dark world, because he has called us out from the world. That means we are much more than many of us are aware of. So, chapter 4, verse 18. Moses went back to Jethro, his father-in-law, and said to him, "Please let me go back to my brothers in Egypt to see whether they are still alive." And Jethro said to Moses, "Go in peace." And Adonai said to Moses in Midian, "Go back to Egypt, for all the men who were seeking your life are dead." So Moses took his wife and his sons and had them ride on a donkey and went back to the land of Egypt. And Moses took the staff of Elohim in his hand. And Adonai said to Moses, "When you go back to Egypt, see that you do before Pharaoh all the miracles that I have put in your power. But I will harden his heart so that he will not let the people go. Then you shall say to Pharaoh, 'See this. This says Adonai, Israel is my firstborn son. And I say to you, let my son go, that he might serve me. If you refuse to let him go, behold, I will kill your firstborn son.'" That is the cost of our first redemption. Our first redemption out of Egypt was was precious. It costed all the firstborn. You have to understand that Passover is not cheap. Freedom, to have freedom, to access to freedom, is not cheap. Freedom is the most precious thing in this entire universe. At a lodging place on the way, Adonai met him and sought to put him to death. Then Zipporah took a flint and cut off her son's foreskin and touched Moses' feet and said, "Surely you are a bridegroom of blood to me." So he let him alone. It was that he said, "A bridegroom of blood because of the circumcision." You have to understand, Moses wasn't circumcised before he met Adonai, because he was grown up as an Egyptian. And you see, if you join Adonai's truth walk, you cannot go without circumcision. First of all, circumcision of your heart, and then outside too. And Adonai said to Aaron, "Go into the wilderness to meet Moses." And he went and met him at the mountain of Elohim and kissed him. And Moses told Aaron all the words of the law of Adonai, with which he had sent him to speak, and all the signs that he had commanded him to do. Then Moses and Aaron went gathered together all to the elders of the people of Israel. And Aaron spoke all the words and Adonai had spoken to Moses, did the signs in the sight of the people. And the people believed, and when they heard that Adonai has visited the people of Israel, and that he had seen the afflicted, they bowed their head and worshipped. That is also what our major concern should be. It shouldn't be our own selfish thing. We should, when Adonai is doing something for us, it should lead us to worship. Then we should say, "Thank you, Adonai, you are worthy to receive worship for what you have done for us." It is not it isn't because we are great. No, we are not great. No one of us deserves freedom. No one from us deserves anything what Adonai has promised in his word. It is for his own name's sake that he is doing such things. It is just for his own name's sake that he is looking after us and looking on us, because it is dishonoring him when his created people, his created humans are in affliction or whatever. It is he said, "I do it for my own name's sake. It is not because you are perfect. You are a stiff-necked and whatever people. You are not. You're nothing. In my sight, you are nothing. But I do all this to show up my glory in the entire world, to cause that worship is coming back to me." because he deserves to be worshipped, to be obeyed. Chapter 5. Afterward, Moses and Aaron went and said to Pharaoh, "This says Adonai, the Elohim of Israel, let my people go, that they may hold a feast to me in the wilderness." Nowadays, we have the same situation. The hostages, I tell you, let my people go. Adonai says, let my people go. And he will send deliverance until the very last one is back home. But Pharaoh said, "Who is Adonai, that I should obey his voice and let Israel go? I do not know Adonai, and moreover, I will not let Israel go." Then they said, "The Elohim of the Hebrews hath met with us. Please let us go 3 days' journey into the wilderness, that we may sacrifice to Adonai our Elohim, lest he fall upon us with pestilence or with the sword." But the king of Egypt said to them, "Moses and Aaron, why do you take the people away from their work? Get back to your burdens." And Pharaoh said, "Behold, the people of the land are now many, and you make them rest from their burdens." The same day Pharaoh commanded the taskmasters of the people and the foremen, You shall no longer give the people straw to make bricks, as in the past. Let them go and gather straw for themselves, but the number of bricks that they made in the past you shall impose on them. You shall be no means reduce it, for they are idle. Therefore they cry, "Let us go and offer sacrifice to our Elohim. Let heavier work be laid on the men, that they may labor at it and pay no regret to lying words." This is, in other words, Satan is doing that. Because you have to understand something. Behind our real slave master is who? Our real slave master, which we have chosen, is Satan. It is not Pharaoh and whatever, it is our sin. By our sin, we choose a false slave master. Genesis 3 was where we have decided to have another master, a slave master, someone who is hurting us. Because we were not obedient, we have not listened, and then we have said, Satan should be our new slave master, because Adonai Yeshua said, if you are sinning, you are a slave to sin. And only when he is setting you free, you are free indeed. He is our Passover. But we come to that when we are through with the Passover story. So, the taskmaster and the foreman of the people went out and said to the people, This says Pharaoh, I will not give you straw. Go and get your straw yourself and wherever you can find it, but your work will not be reduced in the least. So the people were scattered throughout all the land of Egypt to gather stubble for straw. The taskmasters were arranged, saying, Complete your work, your daily tasks each day, as when there was straw. And the foremen of the people of Israel, whom Pharaoh taskmasters had set over them, were beaten and were asked, Why have you not done all your task of making bricks today and yesterday as in the past? Then the foreman of the people of Israel came and cried to Pharaoh, Why do you treat your servants like this? No straw is given to your servants, yet they say to us, Make bricks. And behold, your servants are beaten, but the fault is in your own people. But he said, You are idle, that is why you said, Let us go and sacrifice to Adonai. Go now and work. No straw will be given to you, but you must still deliver the same number of bricks. The 4 men of the people of Israel saw that they were in trouble when they said, "You shall by no means reduce your number of bricks and daily tasks each day." They met Moses and Aaron, who were waiting for them as they came out from Pharaoh, and they said to them, "Adonai look on you and judge, because you have made us sting in the eyes of in the sight of Pharaoh and his servants, and have put a sword in their hands to kill us." Then Moses turned to Adonai and said, "Oh Adonai, why have you done evil to this people? Why did you ever send me? For since I came to Pharaoh to speak in your name, he has done evil to this people, and you have not delivered your people at all." Chapter 6. But Adonai said to Moses, "Now you shall see that what I will do to Pharaoh, for with a strong hand he will send them out, and with a strong hand he will deliver them out of his land." Elohim spoke to Moses, said to him, "I am Adonai, or I am Yahuwah. I appeared to Abraham, to Isaac, and to Jacob as El Shaddai, but by my name, Yahuwah, I did not make myself known to them. I also established my covenant with them to give them the land of Canaan, the land in which they lived as sojourners, wherever I have heard the groanings of the people of Israel, whom the Egyptians hold as slaves, and I have remembered my covenant. Say therefore to the people of Israel, I am Yahuwah, and I will bring you out from under the burdens of the Egyptians. I will deliver you from slavery to them, and I will redeem you with an outstretched arm, with great act of judgment. I will take you to be my people, and I will be your Elohim, and you shall know that I am Yahuwah, your Elohim, who has brought you out from under the burdens of the Egyptians. I will bring you into the land that I swore to give to Abraham, to Isaac, and to Jacob. I will give it to you as a possession. I am Yahuwah." Moses spoke this to the people of Israel, but they didn't listen to Moses because of their broken spirit and harsh slavery. So Adonai said to Moses, "Go in, tell Pharaoh, king of Egypt, let my people of Israel go out of his land." But Moses said to the Adonai, "Behold, the people of Israel have not listened to me. How then shall Pharaoh listen to me, for I am of uncircumcised lips?" We are people of uncircumcised lips. You have to understand, when you don't control your tongue, you are a people of uncircumcised lips. But about that is another topic. But Adonai spoke to Moses and Aaron and gave them a charge about the people of Israel and about Pharaoh, king of Egypt, to bring the people of Israel out of the land of Egypt. Yes. When Adonai wants something, he does it. Now comes the tree line of the genealogy of Moses and Aaron. These are the heads of the father's house, the sons of Reuben, the firstborn of Israel: Hanoch, Palu, Hezron, and Carmi. These are the clans of Reuben. The sons of Simeon: Jemiel, Yamin, Ohad, Yachin, Zohar, and Shaul. The son of a Canaanite woman. These are the clans of Simeon. These are the names of the sons of Levi according to their generations: Gershon, Kohath, and Merari. The years of the lives of Levi being 137 years. The sons of Gershon: Libni, Shimei, by their clans. The son of Kohath: Amram, Isra, Hebron, and Uzziel. The years of the life of Kohath being 133 years. The sons of Merari: Mehali and Mushi. These are the clans of the Levites according to their generations. Amram took as his wife Jochebed as the mother of Moses. his father's sisters, and she bore him Aaron and Moses. The years of life of Abram being 137 years. The sons of Itzah, Korah, Nepheg, and Zichri. The sons of Uzziel, Mishael, Elzaphan, and Siriti. Aaron took his wife Elisheba, the daughters of Aminadab, the sister of Nashon, and she bore him Nadab, Abihu, Eleazar, and Ithamar. The sons of Korah, Asi, Elkanah, and Abishab. These are the clans of the Kohathites. Eleazar, Aaron's son, took of his wife and bore him daughters of Putiel, and she bore him Phinehas. These are the heads of the father's house of the Levites by their clans. These are the Aaron and Moses to whom Adonai said, "Bring out the people of Israel from the land of Egypt by their hosts." It was they who spoke to Pharaoh, king of Egypt, about bring out the people of Israel from Egypt. This Moses and this Aaron. On the day when Adonai spoke to Moses in the land of Egypt, Adonai said to Moses, "I am Yahuwah, tell Pharaoh, king of Egypt, all that I say to you." But Moses said to Adonai, "Behold, I am of uncircumcised lips. How will Pharaoh listen to me?" So Adonai is now changing from being merciful and still waiting for Pharaoh into the one who judges and to pour out his wrath. His wrath is when you don't obey. Then you get his wrath. And chapter 7. And Adonai said to Moses, "See, I've made you like a god to Pharaoh, and your brother Aaron shall be your prophet. You shall speak all that I command you, and your brother Aaron shall tell Pharaoh to let the people of Israel go out of this land. But I will harden Pharaoh's heart, and through thou I multiply my signs and wonders in the land of Egypt. Pharaoh will not listen to you. Then I will lay my hand on Egypt and bring my hosts, my people, the children of Israel, out of the land of Egypt by great acts of judgments. The Egyptians shall know that I am Yahuwah, when I stretch out my hand against Egypt and bring out the people of Israel, whom from among them." Moses and Aaron did so; they did just as Adonai commanded them. Now Moses was 80 years old and Aaron 83 years old when they spoke to Pharaoh. Then Adonai said to Moses and Aaron, "When Pharaoh says to you, 'Prove yourselves by working a miracle,' then you should say to Aaron, 'Take a staff and cast it down before Pharaoh, then it might become a dragon.'" So Moses and Aaron went to Pharaoh and did just as Adonai commanded. Aaron cast his staff before Pharaoh and his servant. It became a dragon. Then Pharaoh summoned the wise men and the sorcerers, and the magicians of Egypt also did the same by their secret arts. For each man cast down his staff, and they became dragons. But Aaron's staff swallowed up their staff. Still, Pharaoh's heart was hardened, and he would not listen to them, as Adonai has said. So, the first thing we are now before the first plague. And you have to remember, before Adonai Yeshua returns, he will again pour out plagues over this world to judge those which are not listening to him. This is something many forget. Adonai is not just love, he is also just, and his judgment. He is judging. If you don't listen, he will judge. Then Adonai said to Moses, Pharaoh's heart is hardened. He refuses to let the people go. Go to Pharaoh in the morning, as he is going out to the water. Stand on the bank of the Nile to meet him, and take in your hand the staff that turned into a dragon. And you shall say to him, Adonai of the Elohim of the Hebrews sent me to you, saying, Let my people go, that they may serve me in the wilderness. But so far you have not obeyed. This says Adonai, By this you shall know that I am Yahuwah. Behold, with this staff that is in my hand, I will strike the water that is in the Nile, and it shall turn into blood. The fish of the Nile shall die, and the Nile will stink, and the Egyptians will grow weary of drinking water from the Nile. And Adonai said to Moses, Say to Aaron, Take your staff and stretch out your hand over the waters of Egypt, over their rivers, their canals, and their ponds, and all the pools of water, so that they may become blood. And there shall be blood throughout all the land of Egypt, even in vessels of wood and in vessels of stone. And Moses and Aaron did as Adonai commanded. In the sight of Pharaoh and the sight of the servants, he lifted up the staff and struck the water in the Nile, and all the waters in Nile turned into the blood, and the fish in the Nile died, and the Nile stank, so that the Egyptians could not drink water from the Nile. There was blood throughout all the land of Egypt, but the Egyptians of Egypt did the same by their secret arts. So Pharaoh's heart remained hardened, and he would not listen to them, as Adonai said. Pharaoh turned and went in his house, and he did not take even this to heart. And all the Egyptians dug along the Nile for water to drink, for they could not drink the water of the Nile. 7 full days passed after Adonai had struck the Nile. This is also interesting. Those plagues. What the Egyptians worshipped came after them. I don't know. I can't imagine to drink blood. That sound ugly. The second plague, frogs. In many ways, the plagues are funny. Because you have to understand, the Egyptians didn't expect that their gods, their deities which they have worshipped, would come all of a sudden out to harm them. That means you have also to get that in your mind, what you worship, if it's not Adonai himself. It will in many points come after you. Because, yeah, he will turn it into a plague, and it will destroy you. Then, chapter 8. Then Adonai said to Moses, Go into Pharaoh and say to him, This says Adonai, Let my people go, that they may serve me. But if you refuse to let them go, behold, I will plague all your country with frogs. The Nile shall swarm with frogs that shall come up into your house, into your bedroom and your bed, into the house of your servants and your people, in your ovens and your kneading bowls. The frogs shall come upon you and your people and all your servants. And Adonai said to Moses, Say to Aaron, Stretch out your hand with your staff over the rivers, over the canals, and over the pools, and make frogs come out of the up on the land of Egypt. So Aaron stretched out his hand over the waters of Egypt, and the frogs came up and covered the land of Egypt. But the Egyptians did the same by the secret arts and made frogs come upon the land of Egypt. Then Pharaoh called Moses and Aaron and said, "Plead with Adonai to take away the frogs from me and from my people, and I will let the people go to sacrifice Adonai." Moses said to Pharaoh, "But please to command me when I am to plead for you and for your servants and for your people, that the frogs be cut off from you and your house and be left only in the Nile." And he said, "Tomorrow." What Pharaoh is a real funny thing. Moses asked, "How long do you want to remain with these frogs?" And he said, "Until tomorrow. I want still until tomorrow. Let those frogs running through my house." Very interesting. You have to imagine those stories if they would stand into the news. The headline would be, "Pharaoh wanted another night with frogs." Moses said, "Be it as you say, so that you may know that there is no one like Adonai our Elohim. The frogs shall go away from you and your house and your servants and your people. They shall be left only in the Nile." So Moses and Aaron went out from Pharaoh, and Moses cried to Adonai about the frogs as he agreed with Pharaoh. And Adonai did according to the words of Moses. The frogs died out in the house, in the country yards, and the fields, and they gathered them together in heaps, and the land stank. But when Pharaoh saw that there was a respite, he hardened his heart and would not listen to them, as Adonai said. He hardened his heart. But at one point it said, Adonai hardened his heart. That means Yeshua in the scriptures says, if you hear his word today, don't harden your heart. Because there is a point of no return where Adonai is hardening your heart and giving up on warning you and pleading for you and whatever. Now there comes a point where the arts of those wizards don't work anymore. Then the third plague is gnats. Then Adonai said to Moses, "Say to Aaron, stretch out your staff and strike the dust of the earth, so it may become gnats in the land of Egypt." And they did so. Aaron stretched out his hand with his staff and struck the dust of the earth, and there were gnats on man and beast, and the dust of the earth became gnats in all the land of Egypt. The Mexicans tried by their secret art to produce gnats, but they could not. So there were gnats on man and beast. Then the wizards or Mexicans said to Pharaoh, "This is the finger of Elohim." This is the finger of Elohim. What an eye-opener. But Pharaoh's heart was hardened, and he would not listen to them, as Adonai said. Now comes the fourth plague, flies. Then Adonai said to Moses, "Rise up early in the morning and present yourself to Pharaoh as he goes out to the water, and say to him, 'This says Adonai, let my people go that they may serve me. Or else, if you will not let my people go, behold, I will send swarms of flies on you, and your house, and your servants and your people into your houses. And the houses of the Egyptians shall be filled with swarms of flies, and also the ground on which they stand. But on that day I will set apart the land of Goshen, where my people dwell, so that no swarm of flies shall be there, that you may know that I am Adonai in the midst of the earth. This I will put a division between my people and your people. Tomorrow this sign shall happen." There comes now the great, great blessing. There he says, "I will make division, a separation. My people and your people. Cause you're not listening to me, you get the plagues, but my people will be safe. That means also you have to remember we are now in the time of tribulation. The 7 years have not started yet at all. But when they start, those plagues, those catastrophes, which are flooding the earth, we will send them too, but they will not harm us, so long as we remain with him. He will keep us safe. He makes then also a division between the world and between the people which are serving him. And Adonai did so. There came great swarms of flies into the house of Pharaoh and into his servant's house throughout all the land of Egypt. The land was ruined by the swarms of flies. Then Pharaoh called Moses and Aaron and said, "Go sacrifice to your Elohim within the land." But Moses said, It would not be right to do so, for the offerings we shall sacrifice to Adonai our Elohim are an abomination to Egyptians. If we sacrifice offerings abominable to the Egyptians before their eyes, will they not stone us? We must go 3 days' journey into the wilderness and sacrifice Adonai our Elohim as he tells us. So Pharaoh said, "I will let you go to sacrifice to Adonai your Elohim in the wilderness. Only you must not go very far away. Plead for me." Then Moses said, "Behold, I am going out from you, and I will plead with Adonai, that the swarms of flies may depart from Pharaoh, from his people, and from his people tomorrow. Only let not Pharaoh cheat again by not letting the people go to sacrifice Adonai." So Moses went out from Pharaoh and prayed to Adonai. And Adonai did as Moses asked and removed all the swarms of flies from Pharaoh, from his servants, and from his people. No one remained. But Pharaoh hardened his heart this time also, and did not let the people go. Here we have it. Always harden the heart. But now, he says, the 5th plague. The Egyptian livestock died. That means, there comes a plague on the animals. Yeah. Then Adonai said to Moses, "Go into the Pharaoh and say to him, This says Adonai, the Elohim of the Hebrews, let my people go, that they may serve me. For if you refuse to let them go, and still hold them, behold, the hand of Adonai will fall very severe, the hand of Adonai will fall with a very severe plague upon your livestock that are in the field. The horses, the donkeys, the camels, the herds, and the flocks. But Adonai will make a distinction between the livestock of Israel and the livestock of Egypt, so that nothing of all that belongs to the people of Israel shall die." And Adonai set a time, saying, "Tomorrow Adonai will do this thing in the land." And the next day the Adonai did this thing, and all the livestock and the Egyptians died, but no one of the livestock of the people of Israel died. And Pharaoh sent, and behold, not one of the livestock of Israel was dead, but the heart of Pharaoh was hardened, and he did not let the people go. The 6th plague, boils. And Adonai said to Moses and Aaron, "Take handful of ash from the oven, and let Moses throw them in the air of the sight of the Pharaoh. It shall become fine dust over all the land of Egypt, and become boils, breaking out in sores on man. and beasts throughout all the land of Egypt. So they took the ash of the oven and stood before Pharaoh. And Moses threw it in the air and it became boils, breaking out in the swords on man and beast. And the magicians could not stand before Moses because of the boils, for the boils came upon the magicians and upon all the Egyptians. But Adonai hardened the heart. Now there comes a point. But Adonai hardened the heart of Pharaoh, and he did not listen to them, as Adonai has spoken. Before the sixth plague, Pharaoh had hardened his heart, but now Adonai is hardening the heart of Pharaoh. This is dangerous, because when Adonai is hardening your heart, there's no point of return, no point to repentance and whatever. The seventh plague. Then Adonai said to Moses, "Rise up early in the morning and present yourself before Pharaoh and say to him, this says Adonai, the Elohim of Abraham, the Elohim of the Hebrews, let my people go, that they may serve me. For this time I will send all my plagues on you, on yourself, and your servants, and your people, so that you may know that there is no one like me in all the earth. For by now I could have put all my hand and struck you and your people with pestilence, and you would have been cut off from the earth. But for this purpose I have raised you up, to show you my power, so that my name may be proclaimed in all the earth. You are still exciting yourself against my people and will not let them go. Behold, about this time tomorrow I will cause very heavy hail to fall, such as never has been in Egypt from the day it was founded until now. Now therefore get your livestock and all that you have in the field into safe shelter. For every man and beast that is in the field is not brought home will die when the hail falls on them." He says, "I have raised you to proclaim my name." You have to understand, Paul explains it. Adonai creates some as vessel of honor and some as vessel of dishonor. And you by yourself can choose to what kind of vessel he should form you. He knows it already, but you have still your free will to choose what you really want. And he says, "For by now I could have put out my hand, struck you and your people with pestilence, and you would have been cut off from the earth. But for this purpose I have raised you, to show you my power, so that my name may be proclaimed in all the earth." It is not about us, it is about his name. He said, "It is cause of my name that I do this." Then whoever feared the word of Adonai among the servants of Pharaoh hurried his slaves and his livestock into the houses. But whoever did not pay attention to the word of Adonai left his slaves and his livestock in the field. Then Adonai said to Moses, "Stretch out your hand toward heaven, so that there may be hail in the land of Egypt, on man and beast and on every plant of the field in the land of Egypt." Then Moses stretched out his staff toward heaven, and Adonai sent thunder and hail and fire. Fire ran down to earth, and Adonai rained hail upon the land of Egypt. There was hail and fire flashing continually in the midst of the hail, very heavy hail, such as had never been in the land of Egypt since it became a nation. The hail struck down everything that was in the field in all the land of Egypt, both man and beasts. And the hail struck down every plant of the field and broke every tree of the field. Only in the land of Goshen, there where the people of Israel were, was there no hail. Then Pharaoh sent and called Moses and Aaron and said, "This time I have sinned. Adonai is right, and I and my people are wrong. Plead with Adonai, for there has been enough of Elohim's thunder and hail. I will let you go, and you shall stay no longer." Moses said to him, "As soon as I have gone out of the city, I will stretch out my hands to Adonai. The thunder will cease, and there will be no more hail, so that you may know that the earth is Adonai's. But as for you and your servants, I know that you do not yet fear Adonai Elohim." The flax and the barley were struck down, but the barley was in the ear and the flax was in bud. But the wheat and the emmer, this is type of wheat, were not struck down, for they are late in coming up. So Moses went out of the city from Pharaoh and stretched out his hands to Adonai, and the thunder and the hail ceased, and the rain no longer poured upon the earth. But when Pharaoh saw that the rain and the hail and the thunder had ceased, he sinned yet again and hardened his heart, he and his servants. So the heart of Pharaoh was hardened, and he did not let the people of Israel go, just as Adonai had spoken through Moses. Now, locusts. Then, chapter 10. Then Adonai said to Moses, "Go into Pharaoh, for I have hardened his heart, and the heart of his servants, that I may show these signs of mine among them, that you may tell in the hearing of your son and your grandson how I have dealt harshly with the Egyptian, and what signs I have done among them, that you may know that I am Yahuwah." That is he now telling us these things. So Moses and Aaron went into Pharaoh and said to him, "This says Adonai, the Elohim of the Hebrews, how long will you refuse to humble yourself before me? Let my people go, and that they may serve me. For if you refuse to let my people go, behold, tomorrow I will bring locusts in your country, and they shall cover the face of the land, so that no one can see the land. And they shall eat what is left to you after the hail, and they shall eat every tree of yours that grow in the field, and they shall fill your houses and the houses of all your servants and all of the Egyptians, as neither your father nor your grandfathers have seen, from the day they came on earth to this day." Then he turned and went from Pharaoh. Then Pharaoh's servants said to him, "How long shall this man be a snare to him? Let the man go, that they may serve Adonai the Elohim. Do you not yet understand that Egypt is ruined?" So Moses and Aaron were brought back to Pharaoh, and he said to them, "Go serve to Adonai your Elohim. But which ones are to go?" Moses said, "We will go with our young and our old. We go with our sons and daughters, and with our flocks and herds, for we must hold a feast to Adonai." But he said to them, "Adonai be with you, if ever I let you and your little ones go. Look, you have some evil purpose in mind. No, go the men among you and serve Adonai, for that is what you are asking." And they were driven out from Pharaoh's presence. Then Adonai said to Moses, "Stretch out your hand over the land of Egypt for the locusts, so they may come upon the land of Egypt and eat every plant in the land, all that the hail has left." So Moses stretched out his staff over the land of Egypt, and Adonai brought an east wind upon the land all that day and all that night. And when it was morning, the east wind had brought locusts. The locusts came up over, up over all the land of Egypt and settled on the whole country of Egypt. Such a dense swarm of locusts as had never been before, nor ever will be again. They covered the face of all the earth so that the land was darkened, and ate all the plants on the land and all the fruit of the trees that the hail had left. Not a green thing remained, neither tree nor plant of the field throughout all the land of Egypt. You see, Adonai can judge very hard, but he's not just love, he's just. And you have to remember that he and sin cannot stay together. And if you harden your heart, you will not face a God of love, but a God of judgment. Then Pharaoh hastily called Moses and Aaron and said, I have sinned against Adonai your Elohim against you. Now, therefore, forgive my sin, please, only this once, and plead with Adonai your Elohim, only to remove this death from me. So he went out from Pharaoh and pleaded with Adonai. And Adonai turned the wind into a very strong west wind, which lifted the locusts and drove them into the Red Sea. Not a single locust was left in all the country of Egypt, but Adonai hardened Pharaoh's heart, and he did not let the people of Israel go. 2 plagues left, now darkness. Then Adonai said to Moses, stretch out your hand towards heaven. There will be darkness over the land of Egypt, a darkness to be felt. So Moses stretched out his hand toward heaven, and there was a pitch darkness in all the land of Egypt 3 days. They did not see one another, nor did anyone rise from his place for 3 days, but all the people of Israel had light where they lived. Because Adonai is a light. Adonai said, okay, Pharaoh, you get darkness, but my people have me as a light among them. Adonai Yeshua said, I am the light of the world. And if you don't have Adonai Yeshua, you have darkness. He said, those who follow me have the light, but those who don't follow me remain in darkness. Then Pharaoh called Moses and said, go serve Adonai. Your little ones also may go with you only. Only let your flocks and your herds remain behind. But Moses said, you must also let us have sacrifice and burnt offerings, that we may sacrifice to Adonai our Elohim. Our livestock also must go with us. Not a hoof shall be left behind, for we must take of them to serve Adonai our Elohim, and we do not know with what we must serve Adonai until we arrive there. But Adonai hardened Pharaoh's heart, and he would not let them go. Then Pharaoh said to him, get away from me, take care never to see my face again, for on the day you shall see my face, you shall die. Moses said, as you say, I will not see your face again. And now comes the last plague, but we stop here now to rethink what kind of price is had to be paid to get freedom. Freedom is the most precious thing in the entire universe. You cannot buy freedom with money. Freedom is bought with blood, with death. Someone has to die for you that you can get freedom. You remember, as Adam and Eve sinned, from that moment on, we had another slave master. And blood was shed in the Garden of Eden. Because it was said he gave them clothes of skin. That means Adonai Yeshua. It's a lamp of the foundation of the earth. And that has to be in your mind. You cannot just go by the original covenant, by the Old Testament, and say it has no spiritual meaning, whatever, and that no one has to die for you. Every time in the scripture, when you sin, we are sinners, we are not perfect, and it's in the book of Hebrews 5 verse 6 says, Hebrews 9 verse 5 or 6 says, without bloodshed, there is no forgiveness of sin. And Adonai has to deal with sin. And as you see, the first exit into freedom cost a huge price. The death of all the firstborn and the death of a lamb to spare Israel. But we go now into chapter 11. Chapter 11. The final plague is the death of all the firstborn. Adonai said to Moses, yet one plague more I will bring upon Pharaoh and upon Egypt. Afterward, he will let you go from there. When he lets you go, he will drive you away completely. Speak now in the hearing of the people, that they ask every man of his neighbor and every woman of her neighbor for silver and gold jewelry. And Adonai gave the favor in the sight of the Egyptians, wherever the man Moses was very great in the land of Egypt, in the sight of Pharaoh's servants and in the sight of the people. So Moses said, this says Adonai, about midnight I will go out in the midst of Egypt, and every firstborn in the land of Egypt shall die, from the firstborn of Pharaoh who sits on the throne, even to the firstborn of the slave girl who is behind the handmill, and all the firstborn of the cattle. All the firstborn will die. Therefore, there shall be a great cry throughout the land of Egypt, such as there has never been, nor ever will be again, nor a dog shall growl against any of the people of Israel, either man or beast, that you may know that the people makes a distinction between Egypt and Israel. And all this your servant shall know, come to me and bow down and say me, get out, you and your people who follow you, and after that I will go out. And he went out from Pharaoh in hotter anger. Then Adonai said to Moses, Pharaoh will not listen to you, that my wonders may be multiplied in the land of Egypt. Moses and Aaron did all these wonders before Pharaoh, and Adonai hardened Pharaoh's heart, and he did not let the people of Israel go out of his land. So, and one thing, it is said, I will go through Egypt at midnight. And what has Adonai Yeshua said? At midnight there will be a cry, behold, your bridegroom is coming. You have to understand, we have to be ready for the midnight cry. And now comes the Passover. Passover is the most precious. The Passover is so precious that I guess goosebump alone thinking about Passover. But Passover is the call and the act of freedom. It is the redemption of ADONAI. ADONAI says, you will get your freedom. Freedoms from sin, shame, sicknesses, hell, whatever. But I will pay a price. It is the price I paid for you. But now let us go to chapter 12. ADONAI said to Moses and Aaron in the land of Egypt, this month shall be for you the beginning of months. It shall be the first month of the year for you. Tell all the congregation of Israel that on the 10th day of this month, every man shall take a lamp according to their father's house, a lamp for a household. And if the household is too small for a lamp, then he and his nearest neighbor shall take according to the number of persons, according to what each can eat. You shall make your count for the lamp. And now, your lamp shall be without blemish, a year old. You may take it from the sheep or from the goats, and you shall keep it until the 14th day of this month, when the whole assembly of the congregation of Israel shall kill their lambs at twilight, means midnight. Then they shall take some of the blood and put it on the two doorposts and the lintel of the house in which they eat it. They shall eat of the flesh that night, roasted on fire, with unleavened bread and bitter herbs. They shall eat it. Do not eat any of it raw or boiled in water, but roast its head with its legs and its inner parts, and you shall let none of it remain until the morning. Until that remains, anything that remains until the morning you shall burn. In this manner you shall eat it, with your belt fastened, your sandals on your feet, and your staff in your hand, and you shall eat it in haste. It is ADONAI's Passover. It is also what we should do. We should be ready. The belt fastened, sandals on the feet, and with a staff in the hand, to exit this world from bondage of this world. We are the last Passover. What the entire world will face is when we exit to face our King and Kings, ADONAI Yeshua, face to face. For I will pass through the land of Egypt that night, and I will strike all the firstborn of the land of Egypt, both man and beast, and on all the gods of Egypt I will execute judgment. I am Yahuwah. The blood shall be a sign for you on the house where you are, and when I see the blood I will pass over you, and no plague will befall you to destroy you when I strike the land of Egypt. The lamp, the blood. You understand? The blood of the lamb, of the one true lamb, has to be on your heart and also on your doors. The blood of the lamb will spare you from plagues, from judgment, from eternal destruction. What an awesome God, what an awesome Elohim we are serving. He said, I give you the lamb and the blood to spare you from judgment. Because this is a price for freedom. This is a real costly price for freedom. Verse 14. This day shall be for you a memorial day, and you shall keep it as a fast to Adonai throughout your generations as a statute forever. You shall keep it as a fast. And now this unleavened bread. 7 days you shall eat unleavened bread. On the first day you shall remove leaven out of your houses. For if anyone eats what is leavened from the first day until the 7th day, that person shall cut off from Israel. On the first day you shall hold a holy assembly, and on the 7th day a holy assembly. No work shall be done on those days, but what everyone needs to eat, that alone may be prepared for you. And you shall observe the feast of unleavened bread. For on this day I brought your hosts out of the land of Egypt. Therefore you shall observe this day throughout your generations as a statute forever. In the first month, from the 14th day on the month of at evening, you shall eat unleavened bread until the 21st day of the month at evening. For 7 days no leaven is to be found in your house. If anyone eats what is leavened, that people will be cut off from the congregation of Israel, whether he is a foreigner or a native of the land. You should eat nothing leavened. In all your dwelling places you shall eat unleavened bread. Then Moses called the elders of Israel and said to them, Go and select lambs for yourself, according to your clans, and kill the Passover lamb. Take a bunch of hyssop and dip it in the blood that is in a basin, and touch the linens and 2 doorposts with the blood that is in the basin. None of you shall go out of the door of the house until the morning. For Adonai will pass through to strike the Egyptians. When he sees the blood on the linens and on the 2 doorposts, Adonai will pass over the door and will not allow the destroyer to enter your house to strike you. You shall observe this rite as a statute for you and your sons forever. And when you come into the land that Adonai will give you as he promised, you shall keep the service. And when your children say to you, What do you mean by this service? You shall say, It is the sacrifice of Adonai's Passover, for he passed over the house of the people of Israel in Egypt when he struck the Egyptians, but spared our house. And the people bowed their heads and worshipped. Then the people of Israel went and did as Adonai has commanded Moses and Aaron, so they did. At midnight, Adonai struck down all the firstborn in the land of Egypt, from the firstborn of the Pharaoh who sat on his throne to the firstborn of the captives who was in the dungeon, and the firstborn of the livestock. And Pharaoh rose up in the night, he and all his servants and all the Egyptians, and there was a great cry in Egypt, for there was not a house where someone was not dead. Then he summoned Moses and Aaron by night, and said, Up, go out from among my people, both you and the people of Israel, and go serve Adonai as you have said. Take your flocks and your herds as you have said, and be gone, and bless me also. The Egyptians were arranged with the people to send them out of the land in haste, for they said, We are all be dead. So the people took their dough. Therefore, before it was leavened, their needling bowls being bound on their cloaks and their shoulders. The people of Israel had also done as Moses told them, for they had asked the Egyptians for silver and gold and jewelry and for clothing. And Adonai has given people favor in the sight of the Egyptians, so that they let them have what they asked. This they plundered the people. And the people of Israel ran from Ramses to Succoth, about 600,000 men on foot, besides women and children. A mixed multitude also went up with them, and very much livestock, both flocks and herds. And they baked unleavened bread of the dough, and they had brought out of Egypt, for it wasn't leavened, because they were thrust out of Egypt and could not wait, nor have they prepared any provisions for themselves. The time that the people of Israel lived in Egypt was 430 years. At the end of 430 years, on that very day, all the hosts of Israel went out from the land of Egypt. It was a night of watching by ADONAI to bring them out of the land of Egypt. So this same night is a night of watching kept to ADONAI by all the people of Israel throughout their generations. That means you are not meant to sleep. You remember the parables of the wise virgins. You are not to sleep. You have to be ready. And something many people nowadays ignore. And we go to chapter verse 43 to 50. And ADONAI said to Moses and Aaron, "This is the statute of Passover. No foreigner shall eat of it, but every slave that is bought for money may eat of it after you have circumcised him. No foreigner or hired worker may eat of it. It shall be eaten in one house, and you shall not take any of the flesh outside of the house, and you shall not break any of his bones." You remember? ADONAI Yeshua was crucified, and his bones were not broken. It was fulfilled. John 19. All the congregation of Israel shall keep it. If a stranger shall surround with you and would keep the Passover of ADONAI, let his males be circumcised. Then he may come near and keep it. He shall be as a native of the land, but no uncircumcised people shall eat of it. There shall be one law for the native and for the stranger who surrounds you. All the people of Israel did just as ADONAI commanded Moses and Aaron. And on that very day, ADONAI brought the people of Israel out of the land of Egypt by their hosts. That is a huge thing. One thing first of all, Passover is a feast you have to keep in Israel, Jerusalem, and you cannot eat it when you are not circumcised, as you have read it. No uncircumcised person shall eat of it. And you have to understand also, the lambs are not to be killed outside of Jerusalem and not outside of the temple. And we have not yet any temple. So, if you keep the Passover outside of Israel and outside of Jerusalem and also uncircumcised, you, according to the commandments of ADONAI, you have become an abomination, and he will cut you off. So, you have to think of what is the real meaning of Passover. Passover is much more than just freedom from Egypt. But we come to that point. Chapter 13. ADONAI said to Moses, "Consecrate to me all firstborn, whatever is the first to open the wombs among the people of Israel, both a man and of beasts, is mine." Because he took all the firstborn of Egypt. Then he said, all your firstborn are mine. Verse 3. It is now the feast of unleavened bread. Then Moses said to the people, "Remember this day in which you came out from Egypt, out of the house of slavery, for by a strong hand of ADONAI brought you out from this place. No leavened bread shall be eaten. Today in the month of Abib, or Nisan, you are going out, and when ADONAI brings you to the land of the Canaanites, the Hittites, the Amorites, the Hivites, and the Jebusites, which he swore to your fathers to give you, a land flowing with milk and honey. You shall keep the service in this month. 7 days you shall eat unleavened bread, and on the 7th day there shall be a feast to Adonai. Unleavened bread shall be eaten for 7 days. No leavened bread shall be seen with you, or no leaven shall be seen with you in all your territory. You shall tell your sons on that day, it is because what Adonai did for me when I came out of Egypt. And it shall be to you as a sign on your hand and as a memorial between your eyes, that the Torah of Adonai may be in your mouths. For with a strong hand of Adonai has brought you out of Egypt. You shall therefore keep the statutes of its appointed time from year to year. From year to year. It is never abolished. When Adonai brings you into the land of the Canaanites, as he swore to you and your fathers, and shall give it to you, you shall set apart to Adonai all that first opens the womb. All the firstborn of your animals that are males shall be Adonai's. Every firstborn of a donkey you shall redeem with a lamb, or if you will not redeem it, you shall break his neck. Every firstborn of man among your sons you shall redeem, and when it's time to come to your son, ask you what does it mean, you shall say to him, by a strong hand Adonai brought us out of Egypt from the house of slavery. For when Pharaoh stubbornly refused to let us go, Adonai killed the firstborn of the lamb in Egypt, both the firstborn of man and the firstborn of animals. Therefore I sacrificed to Adonai all the males that opens the womb, but all the firstborn of my sons I redeem. It shall be a mark on your hand, or frontlets between your eyes, for by a strong hand the Adonai brought you out of Egypt. And you have to understand, Passover leads to the marriage on the Mount Sinai. Because this is a preparation covenant to see Adonai face to face on the Mount Sinai, to receive the Torah, the covenant papers. Because he said, this is the Feast of Shavuot. That feast gets another is another video, but the Torah is the marriage paper between Adonai and Israel, and whoever wants to follow Adonai is saying yes to the covenant, to the marriage paper, and then you have to keep the commandments. So, and we go to verse 17. When Pharaoh let the people go, Elohim did not let them by the way of the land of Philistines or Palestinians, although that was near. For Elohim said, let the people change their minds when they see war and return to Egypt. But Elohim led the people around by the way of the wilderness towards the Red Sea. And the people of Israel went up out of the land of Egypt, quitted for battle. Moses took the bones of Joseph with him, for Joseph had made the sons of Israel solemn swear, saying, Elohim will surely visit you, and you shall carry up my bones from here. And then they moved to Succoth and encamped in Etam on the edge of the wilderness. And Adonai went before them by day in pillar of cloud to lead them along the way, and by night in a pillar of fire to give them light, that they might travel by day and by night. The pillar of cloud by day and the pillar of fire by night did not depart from before the people. Now, 14 is the highlight of Passover, crossing the Red Sea. That is the purification of Israel. That is the baptism. Then Adonai said to Moses, "Tell the people of Israel to turn back and encamp in the front of Pisharot between Migdol and the sea, in front of Baal-Zephon. You shall encamp facing it by the sea. For Pharaoh will say to the people of Israel, they are wandering in the land, the wilderness has shut them in. And I will harden Pharaoh's heart and will pursue them, and I will get glory over Pharaoh and all his hosts. And the Egyptians shall know that I am Yahuwah." And they did so. When the king of Egypt was told that the people had fled, and the mind of Pharaoh and his servants were changed towards the people, and they said, "What is that what we have done, that we have let Israel go from serving us?" So he made ready his chariot and took his army with him, and took 600 chosen chariots and all that other chariots of Egypt with officers over them. And Adonai hardened the heart of Pharaoh and king of hardened the heart of Pharaoh, king of Egypt, and he pursued the people of Israel while the people of Israel were going out defiantly. The Egyptians possessed them all Pharaoh's houses and chariots and his horsemen and his army, and overtook them, encamped at the sea by Pisharot in front of Baal-Zephon. When Pharaoh drew near, the people of Israel lifted up their eyes, and behold, the Egyptians were marching after them, and they feared greatly. And the people of Israel cried out to Adonai. They said to Moses, "Is it because there are not graves in Egypt that you have taken us away to die in the wilderness? What have you done to us to bring us out of Egypt? Is not this what we have said to you in Egypt? Leave us alone that we may serve the Egyptians, for it would have been better for us to serve the Egyptians than to die in the wilderness." And Moses said to the people, Fear not, stand firm and see the salvation of Adonai, which he will work for you today. For the Egyptians whom you have seen today, you shall never see again. Adonai will fight for you, and you shall only be silent or hold your peace. He says, and see the salvation of Adonai, which he will work for you today. And you have to remember, the salvation of Adonai on the cross, on the tree, was much greater than this, because it was the freedom back home to our Father. Verse 15. Adonai said to Moses, "Why do you cry to me? Tell the people of Israel to go forward. Lift up your staff and stretch out your hand over the sea and divide it, that the people of Israel may go through the sea on dry ground. And I will harden the hearts of the Egyptians so that they may go in after them, and I will get glory over Pharaoh and all his hosts, his chariots and his horsemen. And the Egyptians shall know that I am Yahuwah, when I have gotten glory over Pharaoh, his chariots and his horsemen." Then the angel of Elohim, who was going before the host of Israel, moved and went behind them. And the pillar of cloud moved from before them and stood behind them, coming between the hosts of Egypt and the hosts of Israel. And there was the cloud and the darkness, and it lit up the night, without one coming near to the other all night. Then Moses stretched out his hand over the sea, and Adonai drove the sea back by a strong east wind at night and made the sea dry land, and the waters were divided. And the people of Israel went into the midst of the sea on dry ground, the water being a wall to them on their right hand and on their left. The Egyptians surged and went in after them into the midst of the sea, all Pharaoh's horsemen, his chariots, and his horsemen. And in the morning watched Adonai in the pillar of the fire and of cloud, looked down on Egyptian forces and threw the Egyptian forces into panic, clocking their chariots wheels so that they drove heavily. And the Egyptians said, "Let us flee from before Israel, for Adonai fights for them against the Egyptians." Then Adonai said to Moses, "Stretch out your hand over the sea, that the water may come back upon the Egyptians, upon their chariots, and upon their horsemen." So Moses stretched out his hand over the sea, and the sea returned to its normal course when the morning appeared, and all the Egyptians fled into it. Adonai threw the Egyptians into the midst of the sea. The waters returned and covered their chariots and the horsemen, and all the hosts of Pharaoh had followed them into the sea. None of them remained. But the people of Israel went on dry ground through the sea, the waters being a wall to them on their right and on their left. This Adonai saved Israel that day from the hand of the Egyptians, and Israel saw the Egyptians dead on the seashore. Israel saw the great power that Adonai used against the Egyptians. So the people feared Adonai, and they believed in Adonai and his servant Moses. And you see, this is what Adonai is doing if you trust him. He is much more powerful than you and your tons of issues. He is working for you. And you see, he is fighting for Israel. He is your mighty warrior. He is your savior. He is your deliverer. You don't need to fear him. You don't need to whatever. And my heart is so. When you read this story, you become so humble, and your problems are so limited. They become so small, because when you know who is with you, Adonai Yeshua, Adonai is with you in all kind of your troubles, and you see him in the Old Testament and in the renewed covenant, and he is always the same, because Adonai said, "I am Yahuwah," or "I am Adonai, and I change not," in Malachi 3:6. And Hebrews 13 verse 8 says, Adonai Yeshua is the same yesterday, today, and tomorrow. He will always be the same. He never changes. And the God of the original covenant, the Old Testament, is the same as he has been in the renewed covenant. You have only to consider who he really is, what kind of awesome God he is, what he's doing for you. Because he said, "Look at my feasts and remember who I am." That is why he said, "Keep my Passover, keep my unleavened bread, and keep my first fruits." He said, when you look at me, you will glorify me for what I have done for you. Because when you look at my acts, your problems become so little, so small. And he is fighting for us. If you keep close to him, and when you remain with him, when you stay with him, he is always with you. He doesn't leave you. He never leaves. He said, "I am never leaving nor forsaking you." He is always with us. And you see, and your praise will be like Exodus 15. You can read it for yourself. But we go further in the original meaning of Passover. The original meaning of Passover is Isaiah 53. And yes, I take the responsibility to read that for you. Because in Israel, Isaiah 53 is the forbidden chapter. Because if when you read it, you will know who is described in this. And this is the gospel in a nutshell for the non-believing Jews. Those which say Adonai Yeshua is not the Messiah, not Adonai himself, whatever. The real meaning of the Passover is Isaiah 53. And when you have understood who suffered for yours and my freedom, you will humble yourself and you will say, Adonai Yeshua, who on earth am I that you have redeemed me? We go to Isaiah 53, verse 1. Who has believed what he has heard from us? And to whom has the arm of Adonai been revealed? For he grew up before him like a young plant, and like a rod out of a dry ground. He had no form or majesty that we should look at him, and no beauty that we should desire him. He was despised and rejected by men, a man of sorrows and acquainted with grief, and as one whom man hid as on one from whom man hid their face. He was despised and was esteemed, and we esteemed him not. Surely he has borne our griefs and carried our sorrows. Yet we esteemed him stricken, smitten by Elohim, afflicted. But he was pierced for our transgressions. He was cursed for our iniquities. Upon him was the chastisement that brought us peace, and by his wounds we are healed. As all we like sheep have gone astray, we have turned everyone to his own way. And Adonai has laid on him the iniquity of us all. He was oppressed and he was afflicted, yet he opened not his mouth. Like a lamb that was led to the slaughter, and like a sheep that before his shearers is silent, so he opened not his mouth. By oppressions and judgment he was taken away. And as for his generation, who considered that he was cut off out of the land of the living, stricken for the transgression of my people. And they made his grave with the wicked, and with a rich man in his death, although he had done no violence, and there was no deceit in his mouth. Yet it was the will of Adonai to crush him. He has put him to grief. When his soul makes an offering for guilt, he shall see his offspring, he shall prolong his days. The will of Adonai will prosper in his hand. Out of the anguish of his soul he shall see and be satisfied. By his knowledge shall the righteous one, my servant, make many to be accounted righteous, and he shall bear their iniquities. Therefore I will divide him a portion with the many, and he shall divide the spoil with the strong, because he poured out his soul to death, and was numbered with the transgressors. Yet he bore the sin of many, and makes intercession for transgressors. You see, this is a true Passover lamb. Adonai Yeshua is our true Passover lamb, our true unleavened bread. And when you understand, leaven is sin. And we go now into the explanation of what those feasts really mean. Passover is a freedom from sin, from shame, from sicknesses, from curses, from slavery, bondage, religion, all kind of boundaries, all kinds of like this. Passover is the freedom from Satan, from hell, from eternal death into life. Unleavened bread is, ADONAI Yeshua said, unless you don't eat and drink my body, you cannot be my member. In other words, when you don't accept the renewed covenant by taking the unleavened bread and the cup of grape juice without leaven, not alcoholic wine, but wine, grape juice, you cannot be his. You cannot. Because he said, unless you take and accept that I have died for you, you cannot. You will have no life. He is the bread of life. ADONAI Yeshua said, I am the bread of life. And on first fruits, what is first fruits? On first fruits, he rose again. Without resurrection, there is no eternal life. And you have to understand that first fruits, we are the first fruits, those which believe him now, not later, when he reveals himself to Israel. Now, we are the first fruits of his pasture, of his delight. He delights in every single one who becomes his own. But you have to understand, you cannot remain in the world, in all kind of religions, and think that you have that you can partake with him. The scripture says you cannot take the cup and the bread of the devil and in the same time the bread and the cup of ADONAI. You cannot. You have to choose if you want to remain in Egypt in your real slavery, or if you accept that one lamb, one true lamb suffered for you, so that you can exit from worldliness, from sin, from shame, from curse, from misery, from everything. Passover means freedom from yourself, because you have to clothe yourself with his righteousness, and you cannot remain in your sin, in your lawlessness, in your Torahlessness, and think of having any right to call yourself that you are a believer, whatever. If you don't keep the Torah, if you reject the blood atonement, you have no life. You can, and you're not. Then you're also not Israel, because Israel without Passover, without these feasts, without Shabbat, whatever he has ever commanded in his word, when you don't keep it, you cannot call yourself his own. Then you are numbered under these people, which he says they are the synagogue of Satan. You are only then a synagogue of Satan if you keep the feasts which ADONAI has never commanded you to keep. When you keep nothing ADONAI has ever told you, when you remain in the world, then you're in the synagogue of Satan, because then your God is not ADONAI Yeshua, then your God is someone else, then in Satan. And yeah, you have to. I place under the video all the scripture verses for you to discover for yourself. I I also say always you cannot depend on my words. You have to test what I have said. And for many of you, why do you think that we still need to slaughter animals, slaughter a lamb? We have no temple, and outside of Israel and Jerusalem, if you kill and slaughter a lamb, you do abomination. ADONAI said, you have to 3 times per year. You have to come to Jerusalem, and if you don't do that, you are rebellious, and you cannot say that you can keep everywhere the feasts. If you are in exile, what are you supposed to do? Because outside of Israel, out of Jerusalem, you are not supposed to slaughter a lamb. If you still want to remain in the old way to keep the feast. The best thing is you come to the true Passover lamb. Then there is no need for any slaughtering of animals. Because the bloodshed of animals cannot cover your sin, and they don't take away your sin. And sin is separation, eternal separation from you and Adonai Elohim. And for this, every one of you should read the letter of Hebrews. Letters of Hebrews is explaining that there is no need for any new renewed bloodshed. How do I keep Passover? First of all, unleavened bread and the grape juice. But on my table comes not a slaughtered lamb, cause my lamb is Adonai Yeshua. Adonai Yeshua is my lamb, my Passover lamb. And the only thing I place on that plate, what was for the Passover lamb, is a crown of thorns and the nails. To remember myself that the most precious lamb is Adonai Yeshua. Peter says he was a lamb without blemish, and his precious blood has set us free, and bloodshed is no longer needed. So, before we close here, I go to a psalm. Psalms 114. When Israel came out from Egypt, the house of Jacob from a people of strange language, Judah became his sanctuary, Israel his dominion. The sea locked and fled, Jordan turned back, and mountains skipped like rams and hills like lambs. What ails you, O sea, that you flee, O Jordan, that you turn back, O mountains that you skip like rams, O hills like lambs? Trample, O earth, at the presence of Adonai, at the presence of the Elohim of Jacob, who turns the rock into a pool of water, the flint into a spring of water. Hallelujah, Amen. Shema Israel, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Baruch Shem Kevod, Machudu Leolam Va'ed. I hope this kind of video has helped you to understand a little bit more. And the Bible verses for you for further research I place down below. Shalom. I hope you have a great day and see you by another video. Shalom.